Here at Antiques and More, Staley Road. Staley is a little town outside of Champaign, Illinois, and it seems to be occupying about 8,000 feet at the end of this big metal building. Let's go see what they've got. It says it has vintage and retro. It says it has vintage clothing. It has collectibles. It has antiques, and something called the Bella Ruth Vintro Style Boutique. Okay, it looks like there's booths and showcases, and it does look like a pretty big place.
Thank you. Yes, I've done one.
Catalina Pottery turquoise tray. After they were purchased by Franciscan, I guess. I've recently been told that the flat flowers on these applied painted flowers are more likely to be Japanese in this case, or Czechoslovakian, and that the really high relief ones are the Italian. Toy box collectibles. This looks like a more recent action figure stuff. Not strictly, though. This is the 1977 Matchbox 2000 vehicle and figure set, which I haven't seen before. They have that priced at $130. It looks like it's in great condition. Star Wars Black Series. I like the dog head. Norcrest. $20. That's going to be from about the late 60s, early 70s, because it's a little thinner ceramic. This piece is Blue Heaven to go along for the Royal China dinnerware. I have a bunch of this for sale at Lander Street Vintage in Seattle, a whole set, in fact, but this one was by Fire King. It's not marked, but it was indeed by Fire King, done for them. They want $21.50 for that. I think that is about the going rate. Hot deals. Well, this flamingo looks like it's a little cold here, but it might be hot in Florida. It's the small version of Porcelain, but they want $31.50, and that is top price that I could get for it. That's out of about $19.45 or $50. Well, let's take a look at this tray, because this has been reproduced, but this one has a heavy weight to it. It does have a lot of wear and speckling, but I do believe this one is original. I'm not convinced that this is a reproduction. I'm going to take my loupe out and look at it a little more closely to be sure. But at that price, if this is original from the 19-teens, that's a pretty great deal, even in the compromised condition. It has some crack-allure in the paint as well, which would be consistent with age. One of the reasons I really wanted to lift that over is because I see a lot of spaces in here that look like this. With a lot of things that are redone, not old or reproduction. So I really have to be careful. There's a bunch of Mary Hadley pottery up there. All of the plaques with the farmhouse and all the animals. $230. This is a cute item priced at $30. Chipito Bubble. With various songs and various records. This would be from about the 1920s. So this is a very, very early child's record album. And it has little stories to go along with. And it appears to have the albums. The Harper Columbia. This is really cool. You don't really see this all together in very good shape very often. It appears to have 3 or 4 albums in it. Look at that great cat. And a dapper dog, too. That would be a fun thing if you collected children's vinyl, as opposed to this vinyl over here, which includes something by a local band, $65 on the 1920s era Royal typewriter, and next to it a pretty cool lamp for $28.50. This is mid-century with the little area for sorting. It's a plastic fantastic shade. This is going to date to about 1950. The yellow rotary phone is a pretty good buy at $25, and it looks like it even has the modern plug for the very, very few places that you can still use a landline. Lots of little jello molds and things in here, but I like this piece because it's yellow and brown enamel. It's got a little chip, unfortunately. Made in Mexico by Cinza, so this is going to be 1970s vintage. It's a little more lightweight than the earlier pieces. Ohio Thermometer made lots of these, including advertising pieces, but the Owl was a classic you could just buy for home use back in the 70s. It's $52. These are some of the earliest Holt Howard Christmas items. Holt Howard started just doing Christmas, and then they branched out into everything else. These have been felted over, but they would originally have had a 1958 date on them. That is now covered up. $45 for the pair. Not a creature was stirring. American Bisque did this cookie jar around 1950 with the chick. Great colors and all the airbrush. They picked up on the fact that Shawnee's anthropomorphic pieces like the Puss in Boots creamer here were very popular and decided to go into that line as well. We see lots of floral hull pottery. It seems like it's slowly starting to make a comeback because pastels are starting to come into style again. But the teapot in particular we don't see so often. There it is in the woodland pattern for $35. A fine teal Hager cat from the 1980s priced at $68. People are really catching on to Hager now. This candlestick seems to have a Torquay pottery style to it. I see Good Night on the chamber stick with the two little lovebirds. And there it is, Royal Torquay from England. This piece is likely to have been done sometime in the 1940s and 50s, looking at the style. And they only have $12 on it. And I think for the chamber stick, that's actually a pretty good deal. So I think I'll pick that one up as well. We'll replace it in their display with the piece that was on the shelf below, a $20 Czechoslovakian vase from the 1930s with some rather attractive airbrush painting. Champaign-Urbana is known for the University of Illinois, and that's where we are. So there's the Fighting Illini. This is a signed basketball, a miniature one from the 2008-9 season. They're asking $110 for that. Behind you have the Illinois versus Purdue homecoming celluloid football doll with the homecoming framed guide from 1954. That's pretty cool. $95 for that. By 1964, Barbie was so popular they were starting to branch out into non-doll related merchandise, including these autograph books, which are now scarce. This one's priced at $42. Here we are in the Belarus Vintro style boutique. So vintage and retro, I guess they're mixing some vintage fashion, some things that just have the look. This is a fun handmade knit dress. You would definitely have to wear something under that. Although, if you didn't, I suppose you'd be very popular at that party. Love this big pink furry thing. I have a feeling this one is more retro than vintage. Old uniform here. U.S. Navy. Looks like Second World War, I'd say, from the style of the collar. And it says they have $65 on that one. Ah, an old style corset. Those were not very fun to wear from what I understand. Various jackets and coats. Some vintage shoes up there. I have enough, said no one ever. I like the check skirt under that knit top. This looks like something that someone would have made to wear out on the farm here. Pretty little cotton dress. Probably about 1945 to 50 with that particular button pattern. They want $35 for that. This, on the other hand, is made in China. It's definitely an old school look. It looks like a 1970s piece, but it's newer, of course. But next to it, we have this. And this looks like it's something that was handmade. And boy, there is a whole lot to that. I know some people avoid handmade dresses, even if they're old, but I like some of the handmade stuff. It's very cute, and as long as the person who did it was good at what they were doing, well, they can be a good look. This one is priced at $31. Very fun, bubbly pattern. This looks like something right out of about 1970. I like the rhinestone pin, and it's got a little bit of silver lame thread through it. And this one is handmade in green. I imagine that since we're near a lot of country areas here in Illinois, that a lot of women did do their own sewing. And then over here we have the rest of the space. I'd love to find a nice vintage smoking jacket. This is a sateen tail and vest. Wow. Like that color. This looks like a 1940s or 50s style here. And this looks very 50s as well, both the jacket and the dress. Very fun hat too. Wow, look at that one. It says it's a Ballman hat with red colored stones. And it is USA made. The Sylvia design mark is one that I've seen on other hats before. They want $36 for that. A sombrero. Makes me miss Mexico. And then the wall mask, $18. Let's see who did this one. It feels rather lightweight. I don't think it's going to be clay art. I think it's just a local ceramics outfit out of the 80s or 90s when those first became popular. But I am seeing collectors for those, so I do look now. This one's signed and numbered by Unique Creations, and when you see all the feathers and all the detail, they start to get expensive. This one's $125, and I am seeing them actually selling for those prices. And then, oh boy, are there more hats. Hats galore. And see, I'm not the only guy who's put on a feather hat, apparently. They're asking $30 for that one. $75 on the Christmas tree made of old junk jewelry. I see people starting to do that again. Here's a bunch of clocks. We've got the Big Ben, priced at $15, and then these travel alarms that I really like where the cover goes right over them so they don't break when you're moving around. $26 on that. Iroquois had a lot of famous designers do dinnerware for them, not just Russell Wright. This has been Seibel. There's the mark, Informal by Iroquois from the 1960s, a very 60s design. These seem to be priced between $12 and $20 a piece. Here is a good example of various Hall China refrigerator dishes that came with your Westinghouse refrigerator in the 1930s. You have the round, you have the large refrigerator jar, you have the small streamlined refrigerator jar, and then this style as well. The prices are pretty good on these, as low as $15. Hager did this year about the same time they were doing Earth Wrap. It's a little different variation on that theme, $28. This is a fun Villery and Bach teapot. That's one of the Jean Mercier designs, very fanciful. Les Ballons. This is not terribly old, probably about 30 years, but old enough to be vintage, and priced at $68. Clarence Millet was a New Orleans artist. This is Claiborne Court. He did a number of block prints, and this particular one is priced at $275. I love the Howard Pierce porcupine. It's $68. That is just the coolest thing. I don't see that one very often. The price is fair for what it is. I recognize this crazy red-eyed bunny. This is an early Fitz and Floyd piece, at least early in terms of the production we got here in America. It's got the 1975 date on it and the original labels. It's priced at $18. I've gotten that for those before. People really wanted their kids to play accordion in the 50s, and if they didn't want to spring for a big one, they'd get them the toy version, the golden piano accordion. I honestly think $25 seems cheap on these, but that seems to be about what they go for. Very pretty. They say 1920s. Beaded on celluloid frame. I think it might even be a little earlier than that. Very nice pattern. $59 seems pretty reasonable. If they do a dealer discount, I might take that one. They also have this nice cosmetic case purse in the basket weave for $54. An Illinois watch compact. And you see the watch face in the top, but it says it's as is, unfortunately. Lots of collars. This is a fun case. Collars are something you have to have a little imagination to use today, that you could make beautiful things with the old collars. The 1920s were all about newfangled devices that we hadn't had before. And this is a sandwich toaster with the very pretty floral ceramic to make it look nice in the kitchen. I'll have to see what the price on that is. I've seen paper dolls before. I have never seen plastic before. Peggy's Magic Wardrobe from the 1950s. $15. It looks like it may be missing one piece, but what an interesting concept. That's by Ideal Toys. And they've got the magnetic paper doll, Two Gun Pete, Sunny and Sue. Paper dolls are fun, and the graphics on the boxes are great. Some cool glass in this case. That twisted up the stem in the crackle is priced at $95, and I believe that is a Blanco designed by Joel Philip Myers, next to the Blue 60s era apothecary jar. And then over here we have a pretty nice piece of Fenton, one of the hand-painted console bowls they did in the 1980s. Carl Moretti did this apothecary jar in the blue satin. Moretti, of course, is one of the designers that we know from the Moretti family, who worked both in Murano and for Pilgrim Glass in the United States. Next to a cool set of Dairy Queen glasses. I always like that design, from the 1960s and 70s. Royal Crown Derby did a lot of paperweight figures of animals, and the cat is not one I've seen very often. That one's priced at $65. These salt dips on the left are Bimini Werkstatte. They almost feel like plastic because they're so thin. They are $100 for any two of the three. Actually, there are four. So basically, they are $50 a piece at this point. Love the colors. Bimini Werkstatte, a very important glassmaker in Austria in the 1930s. Apparently, Charlotte Brownfield amassed this collection of salt cellars. I think there are a lot of interesting pieces left. I see pattern glass. I see some ceramic and porcelain, hand-painted. I see pieces that date from about 1890 to the 1930s, including some full sets, and these pretty intaglio pieces here. They're saying that Wedgwood had this glass snail shell paperweight made for them. I did not know Wedgwood to have had any paperweights made for them, so I'll have to look into that. There's also a cool paperweight that is a beetle, as well as a Caithness piece here. Tiffany did the original scarab paperweights, and they are very valuable way back when. Then Tiffany and Company did some reproductions, or later productions, I should say. And Robert Held did some, and Chicago Glass did some, so I might need to take a look and see which one this one is. True Love Enduring. This is from 1923, Brown and Bigelow. A very cute mother and daughter print. Priced at $35 in a nice old Adirondack frame that probably was a generation older. They have a nicely arranged group of old linens, including men's hankies, which you don't see so often, and embroidery, and of course hats. If you are having fun like I am, well, please click thumbs up to let people know that you are enjoying this video. It helps us with YouTube as well. And subscribe if you haven't, because then you can click the bell to be notified of future videos and follow us all over wherever we might pop up. Franklin mint fish, $6 each. You know, I had a collection that I sold for someone, and honestly, I couldn't get a lot more than that for them either, even though they're really pretty. An original board from the Beatles Split Your Wig game. People were definitely startled by those mop top haircuts at the time that they came out. There was one of the 1964 rubber figures as well, $42. And the plastic and rubber puppet from the 1960s Batman TV show era of Robin the Boy Wonder, $135. Allied Chemical is a scary sounding name, but it takes chemicals to make Melmac, and this set from the 1960s was done by them and is priced at $72. It's an interesting pattern. I haven't really seen a lot of their work. Earlier pieces from the 50s were largely done by Boonton and other companies. They've got comics. They had some really good ones, and you can see some prices on here that might help you if you run into any of these, because they've got sold written on a bunch of these, so that tells you that they are selling at these prices. Meanwhile, in here we have Spider-Woman, number 47. We have Mickey Mouse. The ones that are funny tend to be a lot less expensive. Notice this is $5. But then this version of the Incredible Hulk, $20. And sometimes it just has to do with the story or something that was included in it. This is Excalibur guest starring the X-Men. That is not a valuable one at all. So you really have to know your subject. She-Hulk, number 2. Low numbers are good. She's $10. Bumbling boxing with little wind-up men who tried to fight each other. I have a feeling that was a short-lived game, but somebody wins that great plastic trophy, $8.50 for this little gadget out of about 1980. I like showing this later Francoa because I think this was a pretty clever way for them to extend the life of the line. We sold some of this at our factory outlet center in Centralia when it was new. This is the Thunderbird Bowl. They would actually expose a little bit of the clay on the edges of the design and then glaze around it. This is priced at $59. This stuff was not inexpensive when it was new either. And it was new about 30 to 35 years ago. My naughty graphs, oh my. This is not as tame as the Barbie autograph book, I guess. $26 from 1944. Harold M. Sherman is the artist. Dedicated to my school days. Naughty biography, the inside story of my life in school. Uh-oh. I was late this many times. Principal staying here. Our warmest friend, the janitor. This is actually very sweet when you get inside. What my enemies predict I'm going to be. Gnash your teeth and get out your knives. I'm like a cat, I've got 9 lives. Predict the worst and see if I care. You'll get it back and more to spare. Hot sketches of hot sketches. This is fun. I've never seen that one before. And sitting on top of a very cool looking 1970s wrought iron stool. I wouldn't mind having a set of those. The single one here is priced at $250. Oh, they have a pair, I see. Okay. And the other one must be elsewhere in the booth. Look at this great boomerang shaped kidney table. It's boomerang shaped, it's kidney shaped. It has the wonderful atomic squiggles in the formica. That is really cool. And it's $75. It's not very big. It's something someone made at home. It's not perfectly precise, but that's a pretty good price considering the design these days. This little formica table set, and I think I approve of the reupholstery because look how it goes with this 70s lamp. That is a pretty cool set altogether. It even matches this casserole server. They want $295 for the 3-piece table set. I'd like to know how much they want for the lamp. I think, here we go, $140. Cute little vanity here from the late 50s, early 60s. Gold wire with a nice little stool that needs a cushion of some sort. 2 levels to work with. And that one is priced at $195, and there's our second stool. Kitty cats. Here's a big collection. My mom had something similar to this in her collection. But boy, $25 and $35. Wow. This is King Cat here. This is like the one Elvis had at Graceland. They want $90 for it. And what a great ashtray, side table, however you wanted to use this stand. This one's priced at $150 with the big leaf in it from about 1960. And there is a cypress shade lamp. And it looks like the cypress shade is in good condition on this one. And it's round. Usually these are oblong shades. Cypress knee on the bottom. I always get a kick out of seeing these outside of Florida. This one's priced at $180. Somebody went on vacation and just had to have it. Piece of treasure craft missing its centerpiece there. Use of the city of Champaign and the University of Illinois. Definitely a fun space. If you like mid-century, which a lot of us do, and I really enjoy this print with the Siamese. It's just a factory print, but it definitely has an Asian design ethos to it, even though it was made in the U.S. And it's priced at $75. They even have all the old soda brands that have come back to life. Frosty and Knee-High and Team and Masons. I haven't had one of these bowling clocks in a long time. These were right out of the 50s when bowling was such a phenomenon. $70 for that. Pretty Fenton cranberry hobnail dresser jars and bottles from about 1950, priced at $40 a piece. Someone's gone to a lot of effort to make an impression here, and they definitely do. It's got a great look, but there's nothing really old in there other than a couple of repainted pieces of furniture and a sled. This is cute. Kim Ward was another of the Los Angeles area potters in the 1940s and 50s. There's the Kim Ward design, Hollywood. Little squiggles because it definitely has a lot of similarity to Kay Finch figurines of the same era. Vintage and modern, I like their drum, and I do like a lot of this Fiesta that was made after the comeback in 1986 because it is lead-free, and that does honestly matter if you're using this stuff every day, or especially if you're using it in a oven or microwave where you might be releasing chemicals. You can take the party with you. Just stay where you are once you get there. The Vanity Fair Music Time portable turntable. This looks like something right out of about 1980. It's got that neo-deco design, but those very loud late 70s, early 80s colors. Looks like fun. This Wonder Horse is only $10. Actually, this is the Wonder Pony. Wonder Products Company. Back from the 1950s, you can even see the patents, which are dated from that period of time. That's a very, very low price on that. They do take up a little room, though. It is the Jefferson Invisible Motion Clock. $25, and it says it works. That's a really good price. I'm going to plug it in and make sure it's working properly. I love this display. Bachelor's Friend Guaranteed Socks. And it's two-sided. This is really fun. I don't know that they would consider selling this because it looks like they're using it, but wow. That would be pretty neat. And instructions how to sell 6 pairs to a customer in 40 seconds. Wow. They were aggressive. And I am tempted. I may buy this and use it as display until it sells. How am I supposed to sell 6 pairs of socks in 40 seconds? They are laundry tested and approved by the American Institute of Laundry. I'm sure that's an exciting organization. Make it a point to sell a box in the morning and a box in the evening, and you will make $1,500 in retail sales per year. Learn this plan by heart. Back in the late 70s, when these were really new, my parents got a pair, and they gave one to me and one to my sister. And when I moved out, my sister really wanted the pair, and I said, you give me some money for it and I'll go buy an antique thing. And I bought my first antique piece of furniture, an English cabinet from the 30s that I replaced this with, and I paid $100. Now they want $450 for this. So it just goes to show you that times change. This is from the Bally High collection by Henry Link. And I remember my mother was very proud when she bought it, I think at JCPenney's, if I remember right. All right, let's see what else we have here. These are Park Avenue glasses. Same pattern as Manhattan, but they don't have the ball feet, which honestly is kind of nice. I thought they were a little better style than the original. And they want $30 for the set of 5, $20 for the set of 4. Not bad. $89 for the Francoma Mayan Aztec casserole on the stand, where you would put a candle warmer underneath. This is one of their more famous trimmets. This one, which was done for the Cherokee and other tribes in Oklahoma. The Choctaw, the Chickasaw, the Muskogee, and the Seminole as well. $16 is a pretty typical price for these. An older Fenton Vaseline glass piece with the big hobnails, priced at $138. Another Fenton piece here, $85. It just has the little erase that they turned into a lamp at the base.
They're all new. But I said, no.
Cute little celluloid frame for only $8 here from the 19-teens or 20s. The old apple peeler is a pretty neat thing from about 1900, just the right amount of wear on that, but it was very well kept because people out here in the farm country, well, you know, they use their stuff and they needed it to last. And it works flawlessly, $48. Also out here in farm country, I figured we might see some primitives, and we haven't seen a lot, but we do have a nice old apple press or cider press on the wooden stand, and that looks like that's all there and would work just great. Made sometime around 1900. This one's priced at $285. Good presses do seem to sell for about that amount because new presses sell for that or more. Here's a cute yellow tea set. I believe this is Czechoslovakian. I like the black cartouche with the fruit. Phoenix China, and that is the Czechoslovakian mark. From sometime in the 1930s, they're asking $54 for the 3-piece set in that very happy yellow color. $30. Is this for the whole set? Because it's got the ashtray with the lighter. This looks like something by Freeland and McFarlane or their Anthony division. But it is actually California Originals. Interesting. California Originals dabbled in just about everything that every other company made. They did a lot of stuff that looked sort of like Treasure Craft, and apparently things that looked a lot like Anthony and Freeland McFarlane. $30 for all these pieces with the working lighter seems like a pretty good price. We see reproductions of these. It's so nice to see an original with the spacecraft going around the base. This is a very fun toy for its time. They did them as merry-go-rounds of various sorts. This is by the Chain Company. And the fact that it has the original box, even though the box isn't perfect, definitely helps. It's priced at $375. Some more paper dolls. The ones that are celebrities tend to be more collectible today because people are collecting them for other reasons. In the back there we have Donna Reed, one of Zeno's favorites, and then the Lennon sisters from Lawrence Welk. It's cool to see one of these with the actual box, the Flyan atomic jet flying saucer helicopter, because we see these blades by themselves. We almost never see the entire set in the box with the pull cords and the spools and the spindle and everything it was going to require to make run. These are very popular for people decorating in 1950s Western style. These cowboy light covers for children's rooms back then. This one's $90. This has not moved an inch. Darn. I was really hoping it did run. But it feels very loose. Nice 1930s mint green paint job on this kitchen queen. It's got the enamel top and the fold down. And this one is priced at $350. Just as a decorative piece, this is likely to have been made in Whitehall or one of the other areas that did ceramics here in the Midwest. It is older. You can tell it's hand thrown, and it's only $8. Should date to about 1940. Broom says it's lost in the 50s, and wow, I would say it's 50s and 60s, and how much fun are all of these themed displays. I especially like this little short Formica shelf here, and it says that the table with the mushroom chairs and the shelf are $650 for the set. They've redone the chairs, but I, again, like the way they've done them. $30 on the Dam Troll doll. If this says Thomas Dam and is one of the older ones, then that actually is a pretty good price.
Like 97 WHMS. It was the holiday season of 1960.
Love the color themes in here. They've got a lot of fun stuff.
There was a new subdivision.
The stewardess lunchbox, and yes, that's what they would have called it back then. They were not yet called flight attendants. Betsy McCall as well. Love the artist palette shape of these wall plaques. The display is just really fun. I love how they've got all the yellow with the yellow and the blue with the blue, and they mix a few colors together. This is what makes kitchens fun. I love retro kitchen. It just feels so homey, and this stuff is functional and useful still, and also fun to collect. So this place definitely has a lot of inspiration. And then we get into 50s red. And wow, there's a lot of that. Down here I see a caddy that has a bunch of the aluminum starburst glasses in here. Unfortunately, they're priced separately of the black caddy, which is what I really liked. $42 on the set of 7 bowls. The prices are, these are for people who want to buy this and take it home and decorate. Lustroware canister set, the 3-piece there. They're pricing it fairly for what it is, but it is collector priced. Really fun though. I could definitely live with a lot of this sort of thing in my house. The Boys and Girls Cookbook, that's a Betty Crocker cookbook that's pretty popular with collectors now. These are fun because they have the plastic coaster at the bottom that was to hold them in and help insulate. And this set with the plastic liner as well, and then the aluminum on the outside would be a little easier on your teeth. My fillings do not like drinking out of aluminum. And they say it's not a great idea anyway. $54 for this set. Lots of useful carts and side tables. Formica counter for $155 here. Looks like there's a pair of them that you could use together. Nice electric churn here. These are pretty collectible too. This one's priced at $48, and it's got a nice Bakelite handle. That's actually a pretty good price for that. The dollhouse for you. This is an Argo model homeroom. So this is pretty modern. This looks like something from the late 50s when Harvest Gold is just starting to be a designer decorator color. Dog Lotto. Oh, they look so sad. So I have a fun Christmas section in here. Popcorn Santas and styrofoam Santas and just about anything you can imagine. I've been trying to decide whether to reupholster my chairs and try to sell my black Formica table. And I see what they've done here with the poodle upholstery. I think this is a little beyond what I could do, but maybe pink is the color, because it does look good with the black. And Shawnee Pottery knew that when they made the sundial dishes in the Kenwood line in the 1950s. This is priced at $24. One of the first children's programs to be successful on television. There's Miss Francis, a national broadcasting company service. And this was so that you could make chenille craft pipe cleaner art. And she would go on television and show you how to do it. You could make turkeys and baskets and chairs and corsages. And it was one of the official line of Ding Dong school items. This is when they first started realizing the power of television to advertise to children. $18 on that set. Fred Flintstone Coin Bank, I get a kick out of this, $20. This is towards the end of the television show period, so sometime around 1964 or 5. And they have matched turquoise reupholstering with this very cool pattern Formica table. So we have a little turquoise area in here. Great table with the big wide legs. They're looking for $265 for that with the chairs. The coffee caddy was a pretty popular 50s era thing made in Terre Haute. I love that sort of squiggly loop design on it. $80 with the set of mugs. And then here we have a padded 1960s or early 70s bar. Cute little German paper mache pieces here. Some of these were candy containers, some were just ornaments. $24 for this. I've heard them called Putz elves as well. Well, while I wait for the bartender return, I did want to just quickly mention that we do have memberships for the channel. If you'd like to give a little bit of extra to support all of our travels and the things we do, we're very grateful for that. There are various perks, including bonus videos, early access, and live chat as well, depending on what level you take. And it's available on our regular channel or through Patreon. So check that out. I see reproductions of these a lot, but this is the original Lone Ranger guitar. They redid them in the 1980s because of baby boomer nostalgia, but this is the one with the Lone Ranger and Tonto. It needs a string or two, but it is $58. And I see the reproduction one's priced almost that high. It does need a couple of tuning keys though as well. I grew up with a slightly different version of these Viking ships from the mid-century modern era on my wall. These are priced at $35 for the pair. This is a great set from the 1930s, the roly-poly punch bowl. It has the deep red, the Art Deco design. They're only asking $75 for it. Not so many people serving punch cocktail, but boy, it's fun. This place is deceivingly large. Oh, this is nice. Golden glow, a variegated glaze on cladding McBean ware. They want $56. They tend to sell for a little bit more because of that coloration. Cladding McBean became Franciscan, but they did not have that trade name when this piece was made in about 1937. Blanco Crackle glass pitcher in the chestnut color. Not a very easy to find color, actually. It's more of a brown than an amber, priced at $100. Well, this booth apparently supports the local Humane Society, and I'm always interested in trying to support something that is a nice charity, so we'll see if we can find anything, although as much as I like the turquoise kitchen hanging piece for the foil and wax paper, $60 is a little more than I'm willing to spend. A Rumi china made in Japan, pretty pattern, but not an easy sell. I do like this lamp up here. The Chalkware Great Fiber Glass Shade, $50 on that. Various Empoli glass decanters. Fun designs. They have them priced between $75 and $80 though. And this, I believe, is Bohemian because, again, the flowers are flatter. I understand the Italian tend to be more three-dimensional, but I don't think the Japanese made that kind of an urn. They want $65 for that. There is a little bit of old furniture here. I like this Eastlake spoon-carved side chair. Very squarish needlepoint upholstery. They're only asking $22.50. It is a little as is. But if you wanted to do a little work, that's a great price, and that one would actually probably be comfortable. They also have this old walnut carved piece here. Nice little side table. This one is only $75. Nice little entry table, could be used as a small desk in a guest room. This pretty piece of leaded glass came out of the Burnham Harris Mansion, which was a very important house here in Champaign, but was torn down about 15 years ago to expand the local high school. They have it priced at $200. At first I thought this was a fluting iron, but it is actually an adjustable pasta maker made out of cast iron from about 1910. With various attachments depending on what kind of noodles you were making. They have that priced at $160. Space has the Pyrex and the blow molds and things that people are looking for now. Also a lot of slag glass. This particular piece is Imperial. It's a recreation. In fact, most of these seem to be 1960s Imperial based on 1860s, 70s, and 80s designs. The Wheaton glass reverse thumbprint decanter is an interesting piece. Only $25. Royal Sealing in Japan was not an important maker per se, but they made some really cute stuff. I like these with the lobsters. And they have the entire set for $200. This is a nice piece. It's been replated. It's silver plate from about 1870 in the aesthetic period. You can tell by the design. It is a standing coffee pot on a swivel, so that you could actually pour without taking it off the stand, and you could carry it from room to room. Although carefully, because it would have been very heavy with a lot of hot coffee in it. This one is priced, I believe, at $225, yes. It says it still has a warranty on the replating.
If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help. And we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.